but beyond his remarkable lack of etiquette, the Reverend was saying something that was easily overlooked. Let's look again.
No, I said, do you know black liberation theology?
I'm very aware of what you're calling black liberation, but let me get my question out.
No, I didn't ask you what I'm calling. I said, do you know black theology?
Reverend, I'm going to give you a chance to answer my question.
How many of Cone's books have you read?
Reverend?
How many of Cone's books have you read?
Wright insists that Mr. Hannity cannot even have a discussion with him without first understanding liberation theology and black liberation theology, according to the theologian Dr. James Cone. Liberation theology exploded onto the Central American political landscape as a Marxist strategy for undermining the teachings of legitimate Catholicism in hopes of expanding government control. Pope John Paul condemned the humanist doctrine, which had produced numerous socialist revolutionaries throughout the region. Communist mass murderer Che Guevara was even portrayed as a Christ type in liberation propaganda. Here we find our first connection to Obama. Historically, Marxism has always expanded government control, with programs like nationalized healthcare, gun control, and welfare, all of which are part of the Democratic Party's platform. And again, Che Guevara appears in Obama's campaign. Black liberation theology is an extension of the Marxist liberation theology that exclusively speaks to a negative African-American experience. Dr. James Cone, Ph.D., defines black liberation theology in his book. The following is an excerpt. Black theology refuses to accept a God who is not identified totally with the goals of the black community. If God is not for us and against white people, then he is a murderer, and we had better kill him. The task of black theology is to kill gods who do not belong to the black community. Black theology will accept only the love of God which participates in the destruction of the white enemy. What we need is the divine love as expressed in black power, which is the power of black people to destroy their oppressors here and now by any means at their disposal. Unless God is participating in this holy activity, we must reject his love. Black liberation theology views white people as inherently racist. Obama's description of his white grandmother articulates this prejudice.
A woman who once confessed her fear of black men who passed her by on the street, and who on more than one occasion has uttered racial or ethnic stereotypes that made me cringe.
The point I was making was not that my grandmother harbors any racial animosity. She doesn't. But she is a typical white person.
For context, imagine if John McCain had uttered the words, typical black person. His political career would be over. And why? Because Americans do not want racially divisive leadership. But then again, those are just words, right?
Just words. Just speeches.
But black liberation theology doesn't just revile Anglo-Americans. Reverend Wright calls Israel a dirty word, and has equated Israelis to whites oppressing the dark-skinned Palestinians. He even put the writings of a Hamas militant in the church bulletin. He also broke U.S. law to travel with Nation of Islam leader and infamous hate-monger Louis Farrakhan to meet with the terrorist leader Muammar Gaddafi. And here we find another connection to Obama. Barack Obama has stated that if elected to the presidency, he will lift the ban on meeting with terrorist leaders around the world and agree to sit down with them, face to face. This policy is so radical, so potentially destructive to America's war on terrorism, that it alone could cost him the election. Let's connect the dots. With the assistance of Dr. Cone, Reverend Wright, and other divisive figures, Barack Obama has been discipled in a racist, Marxist, quasi-Christian, anti-Semitic ideology for over 20 years.
Just words.
After that much indoctrination, is it surprising that he refuses to wear the American flag?
I won't wear that pin on my chest.
Is it surprising that he won't put his hand over his heart during the national anthem?
Not God bless America, God damn America.
Is it surprising that his wife has never been proud of America until it looked like her husband had a shot at beating Hillary?
For the first time in my adult life, I am proud of my country.
Ask yourself, could such an argument be built against John McCain, a decorated war hero who withstood years of torture for our country?
Why don't we just ask Osama Obama?
Can we afford to ignore the evidence?
Yes, we can.
Can Democrats expect Americans to elect a man who disrespects our national anthem?
Yes, we can.
Can Democrats convince Americans that you don't have to love this country to run it?
Yes, we can.
Can Obama refuse to disown Jeremiah Wright and still expect the support of Americans?
Yes, we can.